We're trapped like rats, atheist. Oh, come on. We're trapped like rats, atheist. Oh, come on.
Hello?
We're trapped like rats, atheist. Oh,
Frank?
come on.
Yeah, hiya.
About it, you're not going to watch it, and the only way you're going to know about it is by reading Psychotronic. Michael,
Oh, that's not, that's easy enough. And, because I remember when he was doing the magazine as a Xerox magazine.
The fanzine is an amateur form of publishing, one that was prompted less by commercial gain than by an enthusiasm for its subject. It is written, edited, and produced by fans. The portmanteau term, fanzine, combining fan and zine, has its origins in the American science fiction magazines of the 1930s. Titles such as Amazing Story and The Comet in the U.S. and Nouvelle Terre in the U.K. not only presented short stories in the genre, but it also provided space for readers to discuss the science upon which these stories were premised.
You know, he wrote by hand, all of that.
For many cultural commentators and academics alike, the punk movement of 1976 and 1977 represents the defining cultural moment of the fanzine. Here we find the argument that the fanzine is not merely a medium for a marginalized cultural activity, but that it is definitively subculture in its origin and intent.
Jesus, that really goes way back, doesn't it? I don't even remember when he started it, but I guess that's where I saw it was, the little. I don't even know if it was for sale or not. Must have been, right?
Yeah. He started.
Because I remember I got a subscription to his magazine at one point. This was before the big book version of everything, and before he became slick with the magazines. Yeah, so that, okay, takes me back. As far as I know, he was the first guy doing that kind of stuff with these kind of films, which had no name. That's why I was glad he coined the phrase psychotronic. So at least we all knew what we were talking about, because I remember he, you don't want to call them B movies, trash movies, cult movies, whatever. You know what I mean?
Sell for 10 cents and they think it's worth money. Mm-hmm. And other people look up stuff on the internet and they go, "This is $100 album. I want $20 for it." Go sell it on the internet.
He has so much more to share. He has written down movie titles, but then he's written down what happened that year that affected him and his temperament and his mood.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right as long as I don't look at you. And
Psychotronic Master List. Updated a lot. More or less chronological psychotronic related notes. I need to stop working on this now. I could do more spell checking, spacing, punctuation, arranging, correcting. But it's not for publication. Movies and TV shows listed are not always favorites of mine. Some I hated, but are listed for various notable reasons. As before, way too much to deal with, but it should give you a lot of context, and I'll use these notes for other projects. Maybe a book. There are things that are irrelevant, too detailed, too personal, and some that could even lead to legal problems. But I'm mentioning some of them anyway.
What would the children think of their father looking? My God, what would the children look like?
What always struck me was his knowledge of both music and politics, because it was always colliding with each other especially in the magazine a lot, and his politics were really always at the front of it. Very, very not pulling any punches, just right in it. And he was into the I guess the punk scene and everything much more than I was, you know. But you could feel that combination of stuff working so perfectly, making it what it was, you know. I mean, that's what attracted me to it too. I mean, it was very clear that this was more than just worshiping of you know, these movies. There was especially in the politics, there was a strong anger behind it too, you know. And his love of music, especially that Papa Umau Mau, you know, and with Surfing Bird and all that stuff. My God, you know, it was almost like an extended joke that never ended. It was always more to it, much more to it, you know. I mean, I always felt that he really wanted to, you know, he played up movies, but I always thought they were always really. I mean, the best part of his magazines were always the editorials. He just went on and on about that stuff, you know.
Club that showcased bands. It was really a hotbed of creativity and art. Doing graphics then was a very tactile and physical thing.
I mean, but anyway, you know, he was very much a part of what that, I guess, you know, that Lower East Side sentimentality was also that was going on here. I mean, it's a shame. It's one of the reasons I miss so much of his writing now is mainly for the politics of it. You know, I mean, I would love to hear him just go on about Trump these days because,
oh my God,
you'd have a magazine right there. Yeah. So I mean, that's where I thought the magazine excelled, and I miss it today, wondering what would he. I would know exactly what his feelings were, but to have him the way he would just wax poetic, and you just get so frustrated on the stuff, you know, and that's you know, it's such a damn shame he still isn't publishing today. You know, I guess it was like everything else. How do you do a print magazine today, you know?
And you see that a lot with a lot of the writers from the 80s, is that 1997 is the year that you never saw them, or you see them again, but you never see them in the way that you saw them before.
No, I mean, and there was a lot like that. I mean, listen, 42nd Street didn't survive. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I always thought that that street would live forever. I mean, it's basically where, you know, when people said to me, you know, where'd you grow up? I always said 42nd Street, you know?
This is 42nd Street, New York City. If you come here to see a movie nowadays, you may find your choices are somewhat limited. For many New Yorkers, 42nd Street is a blemish, and the films being shown inside are about as attractive as the physical environment outside.
Now it's a crummy place. Now it's a hell den. It's a den. My opinion, they should tear down the whole block and just rebuild it. Thank you.
In 1984, the state and city of New York approved a multi-billion-dollar proposal to clean up 42nd Street. The developers plan to tear down a few of the movie houses and restore the rest for live theater and more conventional mainstream films. This is Michael Weldon, one New Yorker who believes that, at least when it comes to movies, the new improved 42nd Street is no improvement.
If all the plans go through, I don't think there'll be any interesting movies on 42nd Street. It's going to be legitimate theaters, and maybe they'll keep one token theater to show, you know, big major releases. But you're not going to see things like Mondo movies and Italian zombie movies and kung fu movies anymore.
Weldon has devoted most of his working life to the study of interesting movies like this. And this. And this. Call them B movies, call them exploitation movies.
It's Weldon has coined a term of his own.
I call them psychotronic movies. Psychotronic is my
high school
umbrella word
for all the, you know, back in the 60s, so I could come into the city and just go to the movies there. You know, and I mean, I would go there as often as I could, but
Weldon is publisher and editor of
cutting high school
Psychotronic
to come in and
Magazine,
just watch
a
movies
monthly guide
was
to
just
what's happening
glorious,
in the world of
you know?
slashers,
And then when
stalkers,
I
bikers, and
when I moved
bimbos
into
on
the
film
city,
and
I mean,
video.
you know,
With a
it just got me
circulation of over
closer to where
10,000, the magazine
all the
raises the
theaters
question,
were, you know?
are there really that many
I mean,
B-movie
I grew up
fans
on
out
Long
there?
Island, so you mean the only thing I missed then was not having access to the drive-in theaters, which was very much like the like 42nd Street, you know, it had their own, it was their own little adventure you had, you know, and it was some ways
they're more likely
the only place to see a lot of these kind of films, because they would only
What's
play,
happening to
you know,
42nd
Long Island
Street, he
drive-ins
says,
or a
is
couple of
happening
hard
all
tops,
over the
but
country
you know,
and
coming
changing
into
the world of B-movies
42nd Street
forever.
and seeing them
There's
actually
no better
in the
way to
theaters
see a
themselves,
movie than to go
no, that
to
was just the best, and it was like the best film
Square
school
theater.
ever.
Watching it at home on a videotape, it just no way can that compare. It's a totally different experience.
On 42nd Street, that experience may be gone, but a few good memories still remain.
Right up here used to be a theater called the Anko, and I saw an incredible sort of Mondo exploitation movie called Let Me Die a Woman in this theater.
Last year, I was a man.
It was the weirdest theater in the block. It was really small. It didn't really have a lobby, and it didn't even have a candy counter. It was a weird little theater with cats running around all the time. Across here, you can see the harem. It's kind of fun to look at with these great drawings up above it here. But this is one of the 24-hour day porno movie theaters. You don't want to go in there. This theater used to show all kung fu movies, I think. Now it's all porno. And that's the end of it.
So if you're feeling brave and your taste runs toward the psychotronic, you might want to check out the old 42nd Street while you still can.